James Alviar. Some of you may know me as Jamie, and I am the stepson of Dick Simmons, Sr. On behalf of my entire family, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for showing up to celebrate the life of my stepfather, Richard Norton Simmons. On December 25th, 2024, Richard Dick Norton Simmons, age 85, passed away at the Swedish hospital in Seattle with family members at his side following a brief hospitalization. Dick was born on August 3rd, 1939 to Richard and Ruth Norton Simmons at St. Joseph's Hospital in Aberdeen, Washington. He graduated from Oakland High School and married Vicki Bacon, who preceded him in death in 1985. He was proud to follow his father into a career of law enforcement, serving as a Grays Harbor County Deputy Sheriff from 1962 to 1974. The couple also owned the Grays Harbor Boat Builders for several years, and Dick was honored to have a boat commissioned by the United States Atomic Energy Commission. He and Vicki had two children, Richard Jr. and Tracy. In 1987, Dick married Diane Johnstone, my mom, and the couple began their journey of 37 years together. They moved to Ketchikan, Alaska, where Dick worked as a mechanic and a truck driver for Zeman Logging, and later he became a tour guide in the city of Ketchikan. He was a gifted storyteller and enjoyed sharing the history of Ketchikan with the many tourists. After a decade in Alaska, the couple returned to Washington State, settling in Grand Mountain. Dick and Diane, my mom, loved camping and traveling to the gun shows in their RV, sometimes accompanied by their own kids and grandkids, whom they doted on. Dick was an avid outdoorsman. He was passionate about hunting and fishing and collecting guns. But his greatest love was his family, and there was nothing that he enjoyed more than to recount the accomplishments of his children and grandchildren, whether it be in school, on the ski slopes, or in the wilderness hiking, hunting, or fishing. Dick was preceded in death by his parents, Richard and Ruth Simmons, his two sisters, Meredith Williamson and Nancy Friend, and his brother, Patrick Simmons, and his first wife, Vicki Simmons. He is survived by his wife, Diane Simmons, two children, Richard Dick Simmons Jr. and his wife, Kelly, and Tracy Simmons Cumming, and four stepchildren, Nancy Roberts and her husband, Chris, Jill Alviar, James Alviar and his wife, Kathleen, Danny Alviar and his wife, Stephanie. Additionally, Dick leaves behind several beloved grandchildren and great-grandchildren, nieces and nephews, and many, many good friends, some of whom are here today. Dick would be very happy to see all of you here today. So thank you on behalf of my family. And he would have enjoyed visiting with each one of you, as we all know that he loved to visit with everyone. It didn't matter if it was the grocery store, the DMV, or a parking lot. He could speak to anyone about anything. And he knew a little bit about everything, and a whole lot about some things. And this made him a very gifted BSer with anyone he met. And those of you who've ever been with him anywhere, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It made grocery shopping with him feel like an excursion to the moon and back. He was interested in many things. He loved to learn, and he was curious about everything. If you ever were in a conversation with him, he could hold you captive for hours, and you would leave the conversation feeling a bit smarter, because he always gave you a bit of information to wonder or ponder over until your next visit. Dick was always willing to give a helping hand, and Once he would start a project with you, he would never give up. He would work for hours, tinkering and whiling away at a job. You may have given up hours ago, even days ago, but he never would. He had the energy of the Energizer Bunny, as we would say, and a bulldogged determination to continue the job until he solved the problem or figured out a solution. He was exhausting in that way. He just never gave up. He was a lifelong learner and collector of information, as well as a collector of many things: guns, ammunition, knives, books, and news. But he especially enjoyed anything to do with the outdoors and hunting. Life with Dick was always an adventure. He was stubborn, he was obstinate, opinionated, but he genuinely cared about the well-being of others, and you always knew where you stood with him. Although admittedly, in the beginning, it was a struggle to figure this guy out. Over the years, I've learned that Dick always had my back, and I came to realize that he was doing his best to take care of everyone in his life, the best that he could. So I gave him grace, because life isn't always easy. I will forever be grateful to Dick for entering our lives and taking care of my mother, and my sisters, and my brother. So thank you again for coming and celebrating my stepfather, Richard Simmons. Thank you.